New Zealanders are obsessed with metal roofs. The number of houses using long-run metal has increased from 55% in 2010 to over 70% in 2019, and it's not slowing down. In this video, I'm going to break down some of the materials used for roofs here in New Zealand. We'll discuss the implications of them and the price differences, and stick around to the end where I'll talk about why I think New Zealanders are obsessed with metal roofs. Back when I was traveling through North America, I was taught to be a roofer in Canada. There, all we used was asphalt shingles. They couldn't believe that most of our homes were covered in metal. Aside from long-run metal roofing and asphalt shingles, you also have metal tiles, you have concrete tiles, you have slate roofs, and you can use membranes. We'll discuss a few of these items in detail. Let's jump into it. Asphalt shingles. This is one of the most common materials used in North America. It comes in a sheet, it has a base mat and then a glue substance, and it has stones pushed into it. When you're layering them up the roof, you layer each one of the sheets above the other. Old asphalt shingles used to be tabbed, usually 3 wide. The problem is it was real easy for the wind to get under and rip one tab off. Some of the early products only had a 5 or 10 year lifespan. Nowadays, they come in a full sheet and they have a tab look, and they're now supposed to last around 20 to 30 years. You prepare the roof with an underlay, and then you work your way up from the bottom, putting 4 nails in each sheet, layering them from side to side. This was my job while I traveled Canada, and what got me into construction. Some of the benefits of asphalt shingles: it is a fast, cheap product to install, and it has a great architectural look. One of the downfalls is that, as well as putting in your roof framing, you also have to fully clad the roof with ply or OSB board to give you a substrate to nail the shingles into. One of the things you don't have to do with other roofing products. This, combined with the longevity of asphalt, makes it a less desirable product. Here in New Zealand, the cost for the supply and install of the shingles is around $120 to $140 per meter, bearing in mind that doesn't allow for any carpentry or any materials to get the roof ready for shingles. Right, moving on to tiles, we have several types, starting with concrete tiles, a product that was popular in the early 1900s here in New Zealand and has virtually gone out of existence. I don't see many new builds using concrete tiles anymore. It was popular because of its durability, and a concrete tile well looked after can last up to 100 years. My first house was from the 60s. It had a concrete tile. We made sure that it got repointed, resprayed. You just need to make sure you keep the surface of the concrete tile well looked after so that it doesn't get pitted, more porous, absorbing lots of water, and end up even heavier. One of the downfalls of concrete tiles, it's a very heavy product, so you need to put in extra roof framing. I don't know the cost per square meter of concrete tiles because we haven't used them in recent history, and I do know they're getting harder and harder to find to replace old roofs. So if you've got concrete tiles, keep them, they're going up in value. As well as concrete tiles, we have slate tiles. These would only be used in high-end architectural builds. There's one happening around the corner. It looks really sharp. It's a painstakingly slow process. You have to get the material specially sent in. It's not readily available. It's a specialty product, and for this reason, it costs over $250 per square meter to supply and install. Again, a slate tile roof, just like an asphalt roof, will need a substrate put on and is heavier than an asphalt roof. The most common tile roof here in New Zealand is metal tiles, and there was an era where a brick house with a metal tile roof filled subdivisions up and down the country. Metal tiles is probably one of the most economical products to install on your roof. It is probably more labor intensive than installing a long run metal roof. Instead of installing purlins on the roof every 800 or 900 mils, you need to install a 40 mil batten about every 300 mils to catch the bottom of every sheet. Similar to shingles, you work your way up from the bottom of the roof, overlaying the sheets as you go up. Very economical product that comes in different looks. The matte product can be as cheap as $60 per square meter to supply and install. And then you can get textured products which increase from there. One of my observations of the downsides of metal tiles is that they seem to move a little bit in the wind and rain, and they also dent very easily if you need to walk on the roof. Another product sometimes used in homes, often used in commercial settings, is Butol or a membrane. This would be used in applications where you have an internal gutter or where you have a flat roof. We've got a job around the corner where we have a very, very low pitch roof between two buildings that's covered in Butol. Some of the advantages of membrane roofs is that it's lightweight, it's easy to shape. For example, a curved roof can be made out of Butol. It's easy to repair, and some of those products are 100% recyclable. Not a very common product here. Did have a bit of a bad rap here in the 1990s and early 2000s, but a lot of that was to do with the substrate that it's installed on. What we were seeing with Butol roofs is between two plywood sheets, there would be some constant movement because timber buildings move, and that constant movement would end up cracking the Butol, and because it's such a flat roof, the water would find those holes, those movement holes, and leak into the building. And sometimes that could be happening for years before the homeowner knew. And maybe that's one of the downsides of Butol, is it's only as good as the surface you're installing it on. So the builder needs to do a lot of work with the framing and the plywood, and needs to make sure it's really well fixed, there's no gaps, there's no movement in the roof. In general, I personally try to avoid Butol roofs, but they do have their advantages in certain circumstances. Butol starts from around $100 a square meter, again depending on the product and the size of the roof. A really small roof, such as 2 to 5 square meters, is going to cost you way more per square meter than a really large commercial roof. If you're loving this video and want to learn more about building homes here in New Zealand, go ahead, click subscribe, help us build our channel. Now that you know about all the roofing types, let's jump into metal and talk about why I think it's become New Zealand's most popular choice. It's the availability, it's the maintenance, it's well priced, and it's the ease of install for the builders. So metal roofs, or long run roofing, comes in a few different shapes and sizes. On the economical end, we have your good old corrugated profile. And on the architectural end up here, we have products such as E-span. And everywhere in between, we have Tradec, MC700, Metcom 7. We have a bunch of sheet profiles readily available. As you supply and install more of something, more people get better at installing it, and more suppliers come to the market. With more availability, you have more options, and also it keeps the price on point. It's easier for architects and designers to specify the same thing over and over. And with different suppliers coming to the market, you can get different profiles so everyone can customize their look slightly. That's my roofer calling me right now. In theory, a metal roof is low maintenance. All you need to do is give the roof a quick clean once a year, and it should be good to go for the lifetime of the product, 30 to 50 years. And I think the last reason, and probably the most popular reason, is the ease of use for the builder and the architect or the designer and the roofer. Because it's a lightweight product and it comes in long runs, the roof framing is less intense than products such as shingles or concrete tiles. This means it's slightly cheaper and slightly faster for the builder to put the framing up, and a roofer can get the sheets for a metal roof laid in a day. He then needs to come back and do all the flashings, and that will usually take another day or two, and then we're done. As we said earlier in the video, long run metal roofing has gone from around 55% of homes in 2010 to now over 70%. And metal or concrete tile roofs make up 20%. So these three products make up 90% of the New Zealand market, and all other types of roofing only make up 10% of the market. So it's quite clear New Zealand has a favourite kind of roof.